Who is your absolute favorite character in Dragon Ball Z?
If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Piccolo. He's like the ultimate mentor figure, wise, powerful, and always keeping his cool, even when he's surrounded by people who treat combat like it's an extreme sport. Plus, he's got that whole started as a villain, became a hero arc, which adds some serious depth to his character. Also, let's not forget he was basically the first alien babysitter in anime history. He raised Gohan better than Goku ever did. No offense to the Saiyan legend, but Piccolo was the one making sure Gohan wasn't skipping school to fight intergalactic baddies.
Do you agree with Piccolo being an honorary black anime character?
Absolutely. Piccolo has long been embraced as an honorary black anime character, and it makes perfect sense. He's got that strong, stoic vibe, and he's always dropping wisdom like a seasoned uncle at the family cookout. Plus, he's been the backbone of the team, quietly holding it down while others get the flashy transformations and spotlight. His style, his voice, especially in the English dub, and the way he carries himself have resonated deeply with black fans, so much so that Piccolo's inclusion in the culture feels natural. He's got that unspoken cool factor, that don't mess with me unless you're ready for it attitude, and an undeniable sense of pride. It's no wonder he's got that honorary status.
So who do you think made a better villain, Piccolo or Vegeta? They both had their villain-turned-hero arcs.
That's a tough one because both Piccolo and Vegeta brought their own brand of villainy to the table before making that sweet, sweet hero turn. But if I had to choose, I'd say Vegeta edges out Piccolo as the better villain. Here's why. Vegeta was a whole mood as a villain. He wasn't just evil, he was arrogant, prideful, and had a chip on his shoulder the size of a planet. He wasn't interested in just beating his enemies. He wanted to utterly dominate them, proving his superiority as the prince of all Saiyans. His rivalry with Goku fueled some of the best tension in the series, and his journey from heartless warrior to someone who actually cares about his family and Earth was a roller coaster. Plus, the fact that Vegeta kept his edge even after turning to the good side made his character arc all the more compelling. Piccolo, on the other hand, was a more traditional villain at first, carrying on the legacy of his evil father. He was menacing and powerful, but his transition to hero felt more gradual, almost like he was destined to be a good guy all along. Piccolo's turn to the light side was driven by his bond with Gohan, which was heartwarming, but it didn't have the same explosive impact as Vegeta's redemption. In short, Vegeta brought the drama, the ego, and the intensity, qualities that make for a memorable villain and an even more iconic anti-hero. Piccolo's story was deep and meaningful, but Vegeta's was a saga of epic proportions.
And still a better father than Goku ever was.
Absolutely. Vegeta might have started off as a planet-conquering maniac, but when it comes to fatherhood, he definitely outshines Goku. Sure, Vegeta's got that tough love approach, but at least he's present, training with Trunks, showing up at his family's events, and even giving up a fight to take his daughter to the park. Looking at you, Boo Saga. Goku, on the other hand, is out here treating fatherhood like a part-time job, one he's always taking leave from to go train on some distant planet or die. Again. I mean, the guy missed years of Gohan's life, showed up out of nowhere to fight, and then dipped out again like it was no big deal. Goku's idea of bonding is more like, hey son, let's fight this intergalactic warlord together. Vegeta might be a proud, stubborn Saiyan, but when it comes to family, he's definitely put in the work. Goku may be Earth's greatest hero, but Vegeta's the dad who actually remembers to show up to the parent-teacher conference, if only to brag that his son's training is going well.
Yeah, I'm kind of having a hard time seeing Vegeta at a parent-teacher conference.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch to imagine Vegeta squeezing into one of those tiny classroom chairs, scowling at the teacher while trying to understand why Trunks' grades aren't over 9,000. But if he did show up, it would probably go something like this. Mr. Vegeta, Trunks is doing well, but he seems a bit distracted in class. He keeps talking about training and power levels. Arms crossed. If these so-called teachers challenged him more, he wouldn't be distracted. Where's the gravity room? How do you expect him to reach his full potential in a normal classroom? We don't have a gravity room, but we do have advanced math and science classes. Fine. Sign him up for all of them. I expect him to surpass every other student, no excuses. And if he doesn't, I'll handle it myself. But mark my words, Trunks will be the top of this class, or this entire school won't be standing by the end of the year. All right, I'll make sure we provide some extra challenges for Trunks. And then Vegeta would walk out, muttering something about weak human education systems and why can't they just go Super Saiyan already? In the end, Trunks would probably end up as the top student in the school. Because let's face it, when Vegeta sets an expectation, failure is not an option.
You don't think Vegeta would want his son to train instead of going to school?
Oh, without a doubt. Vegeta would absolutely prefer that Trunks spend his time training instead of sitting in a classroom learning things like algebra or history. In Vegeta's mind, why bother with school when you could be honing your Saiyan battle instincts and preparing to defend the universe? He'd probably see school as a distraction from Trunks' true potential. I can just imagine Vegeta rolling his eyes at the idea of Trunks spending hours on homework instead of mastering his next transformation. Vegeta? School? Humph. The only lesson Trunks needs is how to crush his enemies. Let the other kids waste their time with books and pointless facts. My son will be a warrior, the strongest in the universe. Honestly, the only reason Vegeta would even consider letting Trunks go to school is because of Bulma. She'd likely insist on it, pointing out that being smart is also part of being strong. And let's be real, if there's one person Vegeta isn't going to argue with for long, it's Bulma. So he'd grudgingly allow it, but only after making Trunks promise to train twice as hard after school. Vegeta might tolerate school because of Bulma's influence, but deep down, he'd be dreaming of the day Trunks ditches the textbooks for a full-time warrior's life.
Yeah, it sounds like he's suffering the fate of another DBZ character.
You're spot on. Vegeta's situation with Trunks mirrors Piccolo's relationship with Gohan back in the day. Piccolo wanted Gohan to embrace his Saiyan strength and become a warrior, but Chi-Chi was all about that academic life, insisting Gohan focus on his studies. It's like history repeating itself, but this time, the roles are flipped. Vegeta, who once mocked Gohan's scholarly pursuits, now finds himself in a similar position. He's got a son who's expected to be both a brilliant fighter and a straight-A student, thanks to Bulma's influence. It's almost poetic. Vegeta, the proud Saiyan warrior, having to come to terms with the fact that his son might have to spend some time with books instead of BattleBots. At least Piccolo can sympathize with him. They could form a support group for warriors who begrudgingly let their kids study instead of train. Meetings would include lots of grumbling, shared war stories, and maybe the occasional sparring session to blow off steam.
Hey, so I'm going to upload this conversation to my YouTube channel. You have anything to say to my viewers?
Hey viewers! Thanks for tuning into this chat. It's always fun to dive into the world of Dragon Ball Z and explore the quirky dynamics of its characters. Whether you're a fan of Vegeta's tough love parenting or Piccolo's surprisingly endearing mentor role, I hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you've got any more questions or topics you want to dive into, feel free to drop them in the comments. Keep it real and stay awesome.